Welcome to another episode of the Villa Pride Down Under podcast, an Aston Villa supporters podcast brought to you from Australia. Today, it's myself and Tess. Rhino couldn't make it, obviously time differences in Victoria being an hour ahead of us on a school night. Couldn't allow Rhino, but he will be back on the weekend. So it's myself and this man, Mr. Tess, today. How are you, buddy?
Doing good, Spud. Doing really good. I wish I were talking to you today under better circumstances because, this morning I woke up at, what was the time? It was 4:45 a.m. kickoff, and I was up at 4:30, like walking downstairs with crust in my eyes and everything, trying to find the TV remote, thinking, "Oh my God, we're gonna watch this game and stuff." So, made myself a cup of tea and watched the game this morning. Bit daisy-eyed and everything, but it's always well worth it to watch the Villa, isn't it?
I've said in this podcast many times, like being a Villa fan in Australia is like having a newborn in the house every week for 38 weeks, and you're just getting up at random times, and sometimes you're dealing with shit, other times you're dealing with a bundle of joy. But last night was a real typical one for me. Like I went and slept in the spare room, and I went to bed at 8:30 p.m. I said to Tilly, right, I'm going to sleep in the spare room because I have to get up at 1:15. So I got up at 1:25 in the morning. The match was on at 1:45. I watched that for 2 hours. I went back to bed at 4:45 and I had to get back up for work at 4:45. And I'm sure we'll digress the match there now in a few minutes. But we'll start off with the lineup, Tess. What was your at that early stage in the morning? You seen the lineup, and obviously Buendia was after coming in. So do you want to give us your thoughts on him coming in?
Yeah, that actually surprised me. Really didn't surprise me that Buendia started the game. I thought, Ramsey would have probably started the game. So at first I was like, this will be interesting just to see how Buendia fits into the system, how he's going to get on and play. Obviously, I was a bit excited to see him playing because it was a good opportunity, I thought, to get him in and get some minutes into him. So, a bit surprised by that one. Wasn't really surprised by anything else in terms of the lineup. I thought it would be pretty much standard. And in general, he did a really good job. What do you think?
I thought he really came in and put in a lot of effort to kind of make an impact in the game. Let's say.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised? Sorry, that he was selected to play from the start.
I was hugely surprised. I wouldn't have called that whatsoever because I was sitting there thinking, after Emery's comments the other day, we discussed it on the last podcast, how it looked like he's out the door. So for him to actually, if I was given money to put money on it, I would have thought he wouldn't even come off the bench in this game. I thought he was, with Emery's comments, I thought that was kind of the last we were going to see of Buendia. Very interesting. I still kind of don't know why he started, but I'm glad he did. He kind of he imposed himself in the game pretty well, I thought. He definitely seen it as an opportunity to make an impact. We went back to left back then. Tess Dina got his place back from Maatsen again. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought it was justified to bring Maatsen back in. I mean, to bring Luca Dean back into the side, especially after the previous game where Maatsen had a pretty good first half until sort of later on in the first half where his defensive ability kind of shone through and wasn't quite what we needed in that last game. So I expected Luca Dean to come back in and provide something different, a bit more experience as well, a bit stronger in that defensive position. And he can also, give those deliveries when we're attacking and stuff. So, I was actually glad to see Luca Dean back in the side. I've been calling for Maatsen for weeks and weeks to get starts and let's see what he's got and what he's got. But after the last game, I kind of looked at it and said, maybe he's more of an impact player like Bailey was when Bailey was out of form, and then he started being an impact player and coming off the bench and making a difference. So I was really glad to see Luca Dean back in the side, and I think he did. He was all right. Like, I don't think he was good. I don't think anyone was really good, to be honest with you. I probably think Buendia actually did really well. I thought he grew into the game and did a good job, but I don't think anyone really played well. But again, just glad to see Luca Dean back in the side and just show a bit more experience.
The ball retention was kind of all over the place, which is not really been something we've had to worry too much about. Like, we've got caught playing out the back a few times, but that's kind of expected with the system we're trying to play. But it was very different in this game. We couldn't find a man for ages. Mings put us into big trouble for the corner, which gave away the. I thought Mings actually had a good game overall, but yeah, and then Kanza misplaced maybe 3 or 4 passes in that first half. And Matty Cash, who I thought actually was probably our best player over the game, he misplaced a couple of passes in the first half. Very strange to see it going on. I've never seen them so jittery. Why do you think that was?
I found that the team didn't go out there and play with confidence, to be honest with you. They didn't look like they were really up for the game. This is just my opinion. They just looked nervous. If anything, they just couldn't string a couple of passes together, just little simple ones, and I just found that quite frustrating to watch. I don't know why they were playing like that or what their mentality was. They just seemed that they couldn't. For periods they didn't know who each other was. And that was really frustrating to watch, because I've really enjoyed watching Villa, and I think we spoke about it offline that, you know, we're not really enjoyable to watch at the moment. We seem too structured and too disciplined, if I can use that term, when we're playing football these days. And yeah, a little bit of a frustration, and we couldn't get it together in the midfield. And I was happy to see Tiedemann was playing a bit further back, because I thought, Tiedemann's going to be in there. He's going to shore up the midfield. Him and Kamara, they're going to be able to work really well together, pass the ball around together, and we can probably dominate the midfield. And that's not what we saw this morning.
Kamara and Tielemans, when I seen them lining up together, I thought, it's lovely. They're back together now. We should be able to impose ourselves on the game nice and early. But the point we were making there about how we're not really playing very well, it's not really aesthetically pleasing to watch at the moment. We're not playing, like, compared to last year, with that kind of buzz and energy around the pitch and getting at teams. And as you hit off there yourself, as we discussed earlier, and kind of in our chat, it's kind of, we're almost trying to control games too much now in a way, which, like, I don't think and then we're coming up against teams that are just parking the bus against us, sticking 10 men, and that seems to be the way to kind of get a result against us. A lot of teams have done it and made it stubborn for us now. Leicester, West Ham, we found a way against them, and we didn't find a way today. But I just don't think we have the creativity in this squad to be able to just break down 10 men. So I don't know. I think we're just a little bit too easy to play against them in the game plan. We seem to do better against the bigger teams because they come out and play against us. And how many times there did Kanza or Mings keep their foot on the ball today, trying to goad Monaco into them? And Monaco just kept their discipline. They got their goal after 8 minutes. And I was talking to Paddy Kelly there on WhatsApp, and I was saying, not great to watch. Like, but Paddy made a very good point too. He said, you have to be fair as well. Like, we're conceding a lot of early goals, which means that the other team don't have to come out and attack anymore. They get their early goal, and then they stick 10 men behind the ball, and then it just becomes a poor game to watch. Doesn't necessarily mean the Villa are going out setting up poorly. It's just we're conceding so many early goals that the other team don't really have to do much against us after that. Like, that was a very poor goal we gave away from the corner today after 8 minutes, and it kind of gave Monaco, just had to give them something to hold on to, and they just stuck their 10 men. And they still offered a threat on the counter as well, because we weren't like staying as compact as we usually do either. Like, so yeah, it was a bit of worry. And I just think, especially that first half, there was too many players like on 4 and 5s as opposed to 7 or 8s. Like, even Kamara, who like has been outstanding since he came back from injury, he seemed a little bit off the boil. And look, it could be tiredness. Like, they're playing a lot of games, and they've played a lot of games, but not winning that game this morning, that's adding another 2 games almost now. So even a point would have made a huge difference to the table. Like, a point would have given us a good chance if we beat Celtic. But now it's kind of out of our hands. We have to beat Celtic and still hope other results go away. And I think, I think we've let it kind of, after beating Bayern Munich and drawing with Juventus and getting some big results and that big win away from Leipzig as well late in the game, and then to throw it away with 2 poor performances against Club Brugge and Monaco, it's a bit disappointing for me. Like, it's
The Club Brugge one was a bit of a weird one, though, wasn't it? That was, I think that Club Brugge game was a little bit just one of those weird kind of games. But I think I said in the last podcast, we need to do something in this game against Monaco. Like, I know if we could win this game against Monaco, then we've got a really good chance of making that final 8. And
Yeah.
again, I was talking about, you've got Celtic to play at home, but playing one of those teams from Scotland in England is always a bit of a funny game. There's always that sort of emotion, the English and the Scottish team sort of thing, and
It's going to be
it could
atmosphere
be,
there, yeah.
yeah, it could be really, really difficult to play Celtic. Even, I think that we're a better team than Celtic, but because of the atmosphere and what's at stake, it could be a difficult game for everybody. So I thought that this Monaco game was really, really important. And to be honest, we are good enough to beat Monaco based on what I saw.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't. We couldn't do it. I think Rhino said in the chat, we could have been playing for another couple of days, and we might not have scored a goal.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel a bit sorry for John Duran. Like, I know I'm skipping ahead now, but he looked so frustrated when he came off the bench, like, because he was getting absolutely no service at all. Like, and that'll bring me back to the chance now. Like, I'm a fan of Watkins, and he's getting goals, but we've created a lot of chances lately, and Watkins has scored a few goals in fairness to him now, but he's missing big chances too. And like, you don't know, but they're chances I genuinely believe Duran would have taken. Like, against Everton, that 1-on-1 with Pickford where he put it wide when Ashley Young squared the ball back. We said in the last podcast, Duran buries that, and the one where Buendia danced around the back line today and then he slipped it through to Watkins. You need to score them when we're not playing well and a chance presents like that. I'm not trying to turn this into a Watkins Duran debate, because I think Emery's post-match comments tell you he ain't going doing that anymore. That's done. He done that to prove a point. So many people who kept asking him when are Watkins and Duran going to play together. He made a vast point of saying he made a mistake putting them on the pitch together in the second half, and I think he purposely, that was by design. Like, he purposely went out and said that. Like, so now I think you can forget about seeing the two of them again. So that brings me back to chances like that. Watkins offers a lot on the pitch, right? He does. He works hard and all that. But we have 10 other players that can do that. I want my goal scorer to be shooting and taking chances. I do. Yeah. Look, he can link up all day. That's great. But we have players who can link up. Rodgers can link up. McGinn will come back. He can link up. JJ can link up. There's plenty. Tillemans. There's plenty of players that can do that job. Yeah. Rodgers and Buendia and JJ, they run around the pitch. They cover a lot of ground. You want your striker to take shots and score goals. If you're only playing one striker, that's what you need from him. And I think you're going to get more of that from Duran. And like, this isn't me knocking Watkins. Watkins is a brilliant player. Like, but right now we need someone who's going to play confidently in front of goal and take those chances. And I think Duran is more of a confident boy than Watkins at the moment.
I love Ollie. I love Ollie, and I love all the work that he does. But got to put some of these chances away. I mean, he's getting a lot of chances and missing a lot of chances. And granted, he's been getting a couple of goals here and there. But those couple of goals could have been 3 or 4 over the last few games. He could have scored a lot more goals because he's getting the chances to do it. And he's not burying those chances at the moment. So I don't know what it is. It was a really good save from the keeper, though, Spud. Like it was.
Yeah. But in that moment, I think you need to take that chance test, because we weren't playing well. We weren't creating much. And that's a big chance in a big moment. That's where you want your striker to step up and drag the team back into it, because up to that point we had created nothing for Watkins, and that's unfair on him, I know. But when when a chance like that presents itself and you're 8-9 yards out from goal and you're 1-on-1 with the keeper, you have to take that chance. Like,
I'll see what I would have liked to have seen, and I know this is not what most people would say, but in a game like that, I would have liked to have moved Ollie wide, because he can play there and he's done it before, and I'll probably get some hate or something like that, but I'm just giving an opinion. We have John Duran, who's a goal scorer. He's a really good finisher, and Watkins can finish as well, but he also knows how to play wide, and he could have easily been somebody who gives us a bit of width and whipping balls in, or trying to attack and take shots from coming inside from the wide side. I would have probably put him sort of left side, and then put Duran through the middle, because I think that would have given us a lot more firepower. That would have given us a lot more energy, because on the wings, we just seem like it's really frustrating to watch sometimes with our wide play and how fast we are counter-attacking and transitioning. We just need a little something to have that creative and that bit of energy, and we don't quite have it with the kind of players that we're playing at the moment. Granted, we do have some injuries, which is affecting the team a little bit. The players are having to play more minutes by themselves, and you can't make as many changes. But we were playing with 10 men as well. Like, besides Ollie, like, Leon Bailey is he's in trouble, isn't he? Like in terms of like his place in the team at the moment. And I'm trying not to make this a
negative part. Yeah, you're trying not to. Yeah.
I'm just trying to like give my feedback honestly, because we know there's a player in Leon Bailey, but for long periods of the game, I felt like we were playing with 10 men, and it was troubling to watch for me. I was almost like, maybe we should make a change and take Leon Bailey off, and even give the youngster Caden. I think Caden Young, the youngster, was on the bench. Put him out there because he's direct player, you know, that sort of thing. Not to say that he should have been the next person on. Obviously, we've got Jacob Ramsey on the bench, and he's a player that can make an effect. But yeah, we got Morgan Rogers playing sort of wide a bit out of position as well, trying to help Bailey and trying to get onto the ball, and he just didn't seem himself today. He's such a good player, Morgan Rogers. Nothing just seemed to come off today, did it?
Yeah, but he's been so good all season. He's entitled to an off day, you know. Like, we're putting a lot on him to be the creative spark in that team, and it's a lot of responsibility to be putting on such young players' shoulders, you know. Emery needs to set us up not to be so reliant on him as well. Like, you have, like, hopefully, like with Malin coming in now, like, by right, he should be coming straight into the team in that right hand side with Bailey. But we know that Emery kind of tends to slowly introduce players and get them used to the structure, and you know what I mean. And usually when a new player comes in like that, it's usually next season we're going to see the most regular of him, you know. Yeah. And I just don't think we can afford to do that now. I think Bailey is so far out of form. And hey, there was no one happier than me than when Bailey got the winner a couple of weeks ago. I was delighted for him. I thought, here we go, this is going to spark him, because he was phenomenal last year, a massive part of why we got to the Champions League. And look, he's just desperately out of form. But it's gone on for a whole season now, really, you know. It's kind of gone beyond form. It's kind of, he's just in this massive lull at the moment, Bailey. So I'm not going to hammer him, because, you know, we know he can be good, but he definitely needs a stint out of the team. Like, he's played himself out of the team. So do you bring Malin in now, or is Emery going to go for the approach where he slowly introduces the players, like he did with Tillymans, like he did with Diaby, like, you know, let's see. I think he needs to put a team of energy out onto the pitch and just kind of get the best out of him for the next game, because we look so slow and kind of easy to play against, really. We're not at our best when we're doing that slow build up. Like, and I'm not trying not to be negative here, but that was a really bad watch for me this morning, you know. I watched every minute, and I'll get up for every game, you know. I'll get up and I'll support the boys. But it was a hard watch, and we've had quite a few of them hard watches for me this year.
I'll have a sip of my drink and I'll pretend that I'm Unai Emery for 2 seconds. Hang on. So for the next game, I'm dropping Bailey altogether. Like, I'm dropping him and he's not playing, and I throw the new guy in. I throw Marlon in. I throw him in and see what he can do, and see if he can adapt to the way that the rest of the team are playing. Of course, they'll be in training and they'll be practicing all these sorts of things anyway. But he can't be in any worse form than what Leon Bailey is in at the moment. He's just struggling really badly, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's still got a niggling injury or something like that. But we've got a new player. We signed him. Let's get him in. Like, I want to see him play. If he's a forward player and he can play anywhere across the front, let's get him in there and just see what we've got in our next match. You know, like, we need to try and bring our structured game, but we need to bring some excitement and a little bit of flair into it as well. That would be really nice to see.
And it done Bailey the world of good last year when Diaby came in. Bailey had a stint in the sidelines, and he kind of got his confidence back coming off the bench late in games, started scoring goals, and winning a few games. He was undroppable. He had to start, and you know, he went on and had a brilliant season. So maybe a stint on the sidelines will do him good. Take him out of the firing line for a while. Let him come on with 10 minutes when teams are tired, because he can't hurt teams. But at the moment, he's particularly one of these players that is really affected by the slow build-up, I think, you know, because he's lost that ability to beat men, and not lost it, but he's just not trying it. Like, he's trying to cut in all the time, and he just looks completely bereft of confidence. Personally,
he had to go at trying to spin someone, didn't he? He had to go during the game, and then he managed to get past the player, but then was in a dead end again, 2v1, kind of, and then
kind of fell over the ball, kind of. And then went in the attack. But again, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to hammer the lads. But
had a
he
chance
did
to
have a chance.
score, didn't he? Not sure about like headed sort of.
The header, yeah. He looked a touch uncomfortable with the ball at the head, but at least he tried something anyway.
Yeah.
I just kind of like, I don't want to dwindle too much on the Monaco game, because I think we'll put it to bed. Where at the very start of the season, if you had said to me we're one game to go and we're in the playoffs for the knockouts, I'd have been like, yeah, bring it on, absolutely. But it's just the way that it's kind of developed. Like after comfortably beating Young Boys, beating Bologna, beating Bayern Munich, drawing against Juve, and probably got robbed of a winner against Juve late on with Morgan Rogers.
Definitely robbed.
Robbed. That like not a great performance in Leipzig, but digging deep and getting the late winner through Ross Barkley. Like we've had to have to come through all that and then just have that unlucky moment where Mings picks up the ball and rolls it back to Emery, penalty, first goal conceded in the Champions League. Terrible way for it to happen, and then just to come out in a game I personally thought we should have won, because I don't think Monaco weren't in great form coming in. They had a good first half of the season. They've been struggling since November. Yeah. Nothing like a game against Villa to get you back on track. Is there? It doesn't matter what competition is, no matter what the league is, and so I thought this was ready made for us. I mean, if you had thought at the start of the Champions League campaign that we'd be on 13 points with Monaco and Celtic to play, and that would guarantee us the top 8, you'd be like, this is phenomenal. I never mind a loss. Look, it is what it is, but when you lose so trepidly and just, as Rhino said, never look like we're going to score a goal, it's hard to take. But we'll bounce back next weekend, and we're still in a great position.
And be fair to Monaco, they did a job, didn't they? They did their job. They were really well organised.
They knew what they had to do.
Yeah, they knew. And there was a couple of moments where they just split open our defence at one time. I think it was an offside at one stage, but they played really well, and they, if anything, they deserved to win. They had the better opportunities, I think, to score and win the game. So, good luck to them. But I think we're equal on points now and stuff. So yeah, I'd rather just let this one slide, because I'm so tired. Like I woke up so early and I had to go to work. I was so disappointed at work today. You know, when you're just like frustrated, you're thinking about, oh my God, what else could we have done? Yeah. It's just one of them that you have to move on and kind of try and look back, and as I said, in some capacity, just try and take the positive and say, right, 13 points, we would have taken this at the start, and it's not dead and buried. We're absolutely guaranteed the playoffs now, so that is one positive from today. Like that cannot be taken away from us, no matter what happens now, and that's a positive. And we would have.
The problem now is that for me, the issue for me, Tess, right, is that we were so close to the top 8. That top 8 now could have been vital for us, because we're into a January period, right, where we're surrounded by Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, Brentford, and Bournemouth, right? All battling for the top 4 or top 5, right? Nottingham Forest, yeah, right. And then of course you got Arsenal, Liverpool, and City, who have all got bigger squads than us, and they've done this a million times, right? You look at Chelsea, right? They're in the Conference League. They only had to play 6 group games in the Conference League. We had to play 8 in the Champions League, right? And this is where we want to be. And not this is not about me playing in the Champions League, but automatically we had 2 more games to play than Chelsea, right? If we go into a playoff now, that means we're going to have to play 10 games to get out of the group stage. So that straight away means that we're going to have to play 4 more games than Chelsea in January alone. That's a huge in the top 4 race, and that's what annoys me more than anything, that we didn't put so much onus on this game, because we'll probably come out against West Ham Sunday buzzing now, and you're like, right, we're buzzing for a top 4 place, but we're already in the Champions League. Don't be putting all your energy into qualifying for the Champions League. We're already there, and this, like the second half of the season, like Newcastle have now got no Europe to contend with whatsoever. And that's going to come into play massively in the second half of the season. Newcastle are a good side where if they just play every week, not have to worry about Europe. They're going to be strong. Chelsea, again, they're in the conference. They have a big squad. They can rest players, playing 4 games less than us now in the group stages. That will come into play. I'm not so worried about Bournemouth and all them, because they don't have much Europe to contend with, but they're similar size squad to us. We probably have more experienced coach when it comes to that. But I think with Chelsea and Newcastle, it is a big advantage to them with us getting this 2-legged playoff.
Yeah.
Just for this January and February. It's a lot of games. We already had 7 games in January. Now we're going to probably add another 2 for
I'll be
the
interested
start
to
of February.
see tomorrow who's worked it all out. So if we beat Celtic, who has to lose and who has to do what in order for us to still make the top 8? Because I think it's mathematically still possible, right?
Oh, it's still possible. It 100% is, yeah.
And it's just not in our hands anymore.
No, and even a point today would have probably kept it more in our hands, I think.
Yeah.
That's the kind of disappointing thing. But as Ryan said, we could have been playing for 2 hours today and we wouldn't have scored. And that's okay. You're going to get games like that. And again, credit to the boys. Like, they must be knackered. It's their first time. It's their first time in the Champions League too. And it's
also like we are suffering injuries. And I know Emery doesn't like to. He never really talks about, I've got this player injured and all this player injured. But it's going to take a toll on the minutes these guys are playing when you've got so many injuries, especially in the midfield there, right? No Barkley and no Onana, no McGinn. And we needed a McGinn today.
Pau Torres.
No Pau Torres. We needed a McGinn today, like somebody to ruffle a few feathers, if you like, and G people up. Because it's really tough for a captain as well at the back. And Martinez was captain, right? So it's really tough for him to really have an effect on what's going on quite far away from him in terms of leadership. And I know we've got Tyrone Mings out there, but he's been away from the game for quite a long time. And I know he can bark orders, but he was also needing to focus on his game because, as I said, there were a couple of little mistakes that were being made that were unnecessary, unforced errors. And so, it was hard, but if you asked me at the beginning of the season if we could be in this position, I would have bit your hand off. And I'm still excited that we're the champion. Look, Emery said something after the game which was really interesting because he kind of showed his frustration a lot and spoke quite a lot after the game about his frustrations with how we played really well for 70 minutes. And then after the 70 minutes, he didn't mention any names, but he was talking about positioning of players and the structure and what he wanted to do in the game. Probably felt like we would have scored a goal if we had stuck to how we were playing in that first 70 minutes. I couldn't see it, but that's what he thinks. But he then went on to say, you know what, we're Aston Villa and we're in the Champions League. We're through to the next round. There's still stuff to be excited about, and we should really be excited about it because we haven't been here for God knows how long, And, And I'm still 100%. Excited about being in the Champions League. As I said, bit your hand off at the start of the season to say we get this far in the Champions League and defeat the teams that we have done so far in this group stage. So all is not sad. It's we've still got a long way to go, and we're building. You're looking at the club now, and you're seeing the players that are leaving. Some new players are coming in, and Emery's reshaping the squad in his own way. So there's lots to be positive about. Tons.
Absolutely, yeah, and like. I'm not going to focus on injuries because I think every club has injuries, and that's just going to be part and parcel of the game. And thankfully, we have a squad that can manage it to some degree. And look, we got some big results that I didn't expect us to get. Probably a draw against Juventus, a win against Bayern Munich and stuff. It is unfortunate that it turned around, but overall, it's been a good group campaign from us. And if we still get through the double-legged playoff, we're still where we want to be. Yeah. And where we would have taken it. The only thing I will say is, though, looking at the draw, like there's some big teams in that 9-24. Like there's going to be, like, it's not going to be an easy playoff if it does come to it. But you're in the Champions League. They're the games you want to play. You want to play against the big teams, and I'm still excited. And Emery will find a way, and hopefully Malin will be available for once these 2 group games is out the way as well. So hopefully he can bring a bit of energy, and we don't play again till Sunday, so that's a nice big rest. So look, give me I'm not going to hang around this game too much because I don't think there's too much more we can say on it really. No. Give me one positive from today for you.
I think the main positive for me was Emery Buendia. We saw that he's available to lead the club if he's got that opportunity. And I thought he came in and did a really, really, really good job. I thought he came in and I think he was just trying to prove that he has a place in the club still. I think he wanted to, I don't think he actually wants to leave the club. I think he wants to stay and try and fight for his place or fight for a place, Yeah. And I did say previously, I'm not sure if he's going to fit into that. But today he showed me something different. All that energy that he had, we needed. He tried to get onto the ball. he got into those little niggly places and was able to create chances for Watkins, etc. So off the ball, he was pretty good. I thought he had a really game, and that was a really positive thing for me. I like it when I see players who are fighting for the shirt. Like, I like to see them give their all. They might not have the best game, but they give their all, and I like to see that. And I think he did that today. Whereas there are others that were playing that I didn't see. I didn't see that from them. Yeah. So yeah, that was a really good positive for me.
That's fair. The big positive for me is that
Josh Tadashi as well. He's said hello to us in Instagram. This is the first time we've been on Instagram, by the way. So our live stream. So hello to everybody. Haley likes cake. AJ, Tilly, everyone who's on Instagram. Sorry, I don't know how to keep changing through to see who said hello and whatnot. So hello to all of you. If you're listening on X, send us a comment. Like, subscribe, ask us a question so we can talk about your questions. But we're really glad that you guys have joined us on our second live podcast. And it's, what time is it? About 10:15 at night time or something like that. 10:10 at night. So thanks for everyone who's actually joined in and listened to us at the moment.
Are you able to click between the 3 different platforms to read the
I don't have
comments?
X up. I haven't got X up. But I have.
I can't see any of them comments at the moment.
I've got Instagram up, and I can see that there's a few people that joined in between Sundays. Marta Leonardo joined in. So there were a few people that joined in on Instagram. I should have had X up there. I'm just not professional at this stuff yet. So.
Just before we came on there, Tess, there was news that Diego Carlos has departed to Fenerbahce. It was in the works. What is your opinion on that?
I wish him luck for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish
that's all you have to say about that.
I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. It was really hard for me with Diego Carlos because he had some storming performances for us, but felt like you don't even know who that player is because I'm not sure if he learned English well enough, but didn't really do club interviews and all these sorts of things. So it kind of feels like you don't really have a relationship with him. Those who actually go to the ground might feel different to me, though, because I rely on what we rely in Australia of watching, the club videos and the players and all this sort of thing. And I'd barely seen him and barely sort of having an inkling what type of character he is and all this sort of thing. So, but he did have some good games for us. But I wish him the best for the future. Fenerbahce might be a really good place for him to go, and I'm hoping that we can find replacements.
Yeah, and it looks like that Bade might be on the way in from Sevilla, so obviously a very good young player. And yeah, let's see how that develops. We know that a right back, Andreas Garcia, is now officially through.
You didn't say what you thought about him leaving.
Oh yeah, I think I kind of said my part in the last podcast. I think, look, same thing. Like, I just think that he's never really got to show us the best of him. He's never had a run. He came back from a big injury. I was at the game where he got injured, and he came back from an injury, and he came back to a manager that didn't sign him after being out for a year. So I think he was always up against it, and he was picking up too many little niggle injuries after that, and he never got going. But look, instead of focusing on the negative, I'm going to remember his big performances against Arsenal and Man City back to back, and just remember him for that in Bayern Munich. Apart from that, really, yeah, just wish him luck, and I hope his career pans out a little better than it did at Villa. And hopefully we get Bade through the door pretty soon.
Yeah.
Andreas Garcia signed yesterday, Tess, official right back from Levante in Spain. Very highly thought of in Spain. 7 million is a bargain in any football these days. So I would expect Nedeljkovic to go out on loan now, probably to get some much needed minutes for him. But I suppose the biggest positive is Konza can finally try to find some form of centre back and not keep getting shifted to right back, because we finally have a bit of cover from Matty Cash.
So Cash might be able to play elsewhere as well. So we might have somebody who's a better sort of, not to say better because I don't know much about the player, but he might be a better person to have in that right back. And if we're struggling in terms of in wide play, you could probably bring Matty Cash on and use him in that right wing space as well. And he can defend a bit. So.
In that first season, we had Alex Moreno come in. in that January that Emery came in, and he kind of elevated the squad. So kind of not too many people knew too much about him, but he came in and he kind of worked straight into Emery's system. Later on in his Villa career, the injuries kind of went against him, and he never really worked out long term. But in that first 6-month period, he really had a big impact for us. So hopefully Garcia can come in and have a similar impact, you know. You can see Emery's finally starting to shape the squad in his kind of mold. It's obviously taking a while with PSR and stuff, but we're definitely kind of heading in that direction now.
Give them some credit though, because they, in my opinion, like they're doing some really good business. They are.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's not easy to navigate PSR at the moment. So like you look at let's say Man City with their 115 charges, and they're hit a bit of bad form, and they're still able to go out and sign who they want, you know. Yeah. So it's we know it's not an even keel at the moment. So I think the way that Monchi and Emery are trying to navigate at the moment, very good, making profits on Philogene Bidace and whatnot, and if you can bring in someone for 7 million from Levante, apparently there's valued a lot higher, but Levante need money as many of the clubs in Spain do now. So I think Monchi and Emery's contacts and their knowledge of La Liga is going to be a huge benefit to us, because it is a league that is struggling financially at the moment. So maybe we can benefit out of that over the next year or two, you know. Yeah. We are heading into the West Ham game Sunday, Tess. I think it's an afternoon kickoff at 4:30 on Sunday. Obviously, it's too early to kind of predict team lineups and all that, but obviously you'd be expecting a bit of a bounce back. But like, what do you want to see Sunday? What do you want to see different?
I want to see us attack and play with some fluidity. I don't want us to look and be predictable against West Ham. You know, we just recently beat them, didn't we, in the FA Cup? But at that time, their manager had just come in. They didn't quite have that new manager bounce, but they did try to start the game really well, as most teams do against us, and we tend to concede early. I think we need to just try and find some fluidity about the way that we're playing, and be brave and go out there and attack teams like West Ham, because we can beat those teams. I'm hoping to see Marlon. I'm hoping to see him come in and have a game against a team like West Ham, where I think we should be beating teams like West Ham at the moment. Again, you know, we got players who played yesterday, and we don't know how tired they're going to be. I hope they're resting up really well. But I just want to see us go out there and play with a bit of fluidity, a little bit of flair, and attack teams. And still while being disciplined, but we just need somebody to just grab the game by the scruff of the neck sometimes, and just show a bit of impetus and get everyone going. And
take the handbrake off a touch.
Yeah, just play with a little bit more freedom, and I just don't feel like we are at the moment. And I know we can. I just want to see us do that, and that's what I would be asking for against West Ham.
And the fact that they signed Malin very, very early in the January transfer window, it's obviously something that Emery may be feeling as well, you know, that he wants to bring in and get back towards that Diaby style kind of pace up top and stuff. And hopefully we head in for a big second half of the season, because that top four race is really interesting now, and we've done well to stay in there. And it's really been our home form that's kept us in there. And recently we've turned the corner with the win away at Everton and to draw at Arsenal. And we're back home against West Ham now Sunday. So it's got to be 3 points, I think, in these kind of games at the moment.
A prime example is the Arsenal game. We're 2-0 down, but these players find a way to get 2 goals against Arsenal, who were a few weeks ago predicted to really take Liverpool all the way in the title race.
Yeah,
those players came back in that game and were awesome. Like it was. I was so glad with the result. I felt like it was a win, and I said that in the last podcast. You know, I felt like that result against Arsenal felt like a win to me, because we just came from 2-0 down and we fought back, and we could have even won the game.
Yeah.
So I know we've got it in us. I would just like to see it, and hopefully we can do something like that against West Ham when we play them.
Yeah, definitely. Tess is just after for there a little bit, but yeah, you just froze a little bit there, Tess.
Sorry, I was just saying that. But
yeah, you're back again. Yeah,
yeah, I was just saying that the impetus to attack like we did against Arsenal, we were able to come back from 2 goals down. I want to see that kind of fight when we're playing West Ham on the weekend.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a West Ham side that are desperately looking for a win under Graham Potter, because the first game they played us and they got knocked out of the FA Cup, and then they had a loss to Fulham on the weekend, so they haven't really got going. So they'll certainly be able to look for their points. They'll probably eye us up as somewhere where they, at the moment, where they can maybe get at us. But the good thing about Graham Potter's teams is they will come out and try and play a little bit. So hopefully there'll be space to exploit. And that's really all we've got to cover. We're heading into the weekend now. I personally am away for the weekend, so Tess and Rhino will be on at some stage to do a podcast, whether that's a bit of a transfer update or a proper look ahead to West Ham, or maybe they'll be on Monday with a review of the game. So I'm sure Tess will be in touch on the socials to let people know when that's going to be happening. Anything else you wanted to say, Tess, before we wrapped up?
Yeah, no, just again, this is just our second live stream, so just thank you to everybody who's actually tuned in at the moment. We've got a few people in. I haven't checked X, I'm sorry. So anyone that's on X, I haven't logged in and I can't see questions or anything, so I apologize. I will make sure next time that I figure out how to get on X and to get on Instagram and to get on YouTube as we are at the moment. Please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends. Even if you take a listen for about 10 minutes or ask us a question or give us some feedback, we'd love to hear from you. You can also give us a follow. So if you look at the bottom of the screen down there, you can see you can follow us on Instagram at Villa Pride Down Under, and on X you can find us at Pride Down Under.
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, if you, as Tess says, if you can just give the podcast a like and a share for us, it doesn't cost anything. But it really helps the podcast grow. And we will jump on if there's any more developments with any transfers or anything. But for now, we leave that with a playoff of the Champions League guaranteed Villa with a possible top 8. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.